Hello, I'm Dave, and Tomb Raider's finally out, and everybody loves it! And that's really, really interesting, because just a few weeks ago, everybody didn't like the look of it. It looked pretty bad. Some people didn't like the look of it, because it looked like it was going to be a game about enjoying the sexy torture of a girl. A girl who we know will grow up to be a super cool adventurer, assuming she survives all the sexy torture, but who, in this game, has all her powers taken away. Yes, I said powers, why not powers? I didn't say superpowers. Because in this game, she's younger and frailer, and being preyed upon by big scary men. In other words, those people didn't like it because it looked like exactly the sort of thing Anita Sarkeesian is talking about. More on her in a minute. Hurting women. Not sexy. If someone thinks it's sexy, then it's not games marketing that needs to change to pander to him. It's him who needs to change if... well, not if. But other people didn't like the look of the new Tomb Raider for a reason I had not anticipated at all. They didn't like it because they'd redesigned her to have a female body, and female bodies are gross. I've really seen people say that. They said she's gross because they made her fat. Is that fat? Is that fat? Even I'm not fat, and I've got many times that amount of fat. Look at that. They meant in comparison to this. And if you can Photoshop a real woman to resemble this without making it look frightening, then you've got a bright future ahead of you, doing something better with your time. But then the game came out and everybody loves it! Except those guys. Everyone who thought it looked exploitative and sexy torture-y, they're posting these excited articles and reviews saying, no, it's not! It's not like that at all. It's actually a genuine milestone in gaming. A game that's actually written competently, with a character who acts like a real person, who develops and grows, and whose story actually works. And out came this triumphant new trailer for it, in which a load of different people of several different kinds all introduce themselves as the hero of the game, and it's a trailer that tells us we'll become this new Lara Croft. We'll feel the adventure through her, and it's so good! So why was the marketing up till now so bad? I mean, don't get me wrong, it looked cool. I was invested in this from the get-go. But when you think about it, yeah, the trailers were a bit creepy, with lots of cameras doing this, and guys doing this, and the sound doing this. And all of this at the same time that other games and games companies were embarrassing us all by doing things like this. And this. Anyway, I know that it seems that games are just a given in everyone's life now. That everyone understands games, and that kind of marketing, nobody would think that actually represents what we're really like. But I'm telling you, honestly, there really are loads of people who really don't know about games, and who don't know that what they see in advertising doesn't necessarily reflect the actual content of the games, or that people like me and you aren't actually clamouring for and financially supporting that kind of content. Lots of real people, nice people, don't understand us and don't understand games. I know a guy who'd never heard of cyborgs until I mentioned the word a few weeks ago. Seriously, he'd never heard of cyborgs. He couldn't even offer, are they a kind of robot? No, he just had no idea. His best guess was that it's something that people who watch Star Trek would know about. Well, yes. And yeah, before you ask, he's older than me, but he's not as old as my parents, and they know what a cyborg is. What I'm saying is, there is a reason to be embarrassed about this kind of marketing and to not want it to be so prevalent. And that there really are people outside of our cultural bubble who really might reasonably think that we are like this. Anyway, I haven't played the new Tomb Raider yet, so that's all I'm going to say about that. But it just looks really good now, and I find that interesting. And when something's interesting, and YouTube exists, people want to use YouTube to talk about the interesting things. One of those people is called Dave. One of those people is called Anita. Anita decided to talk about this whole thing about the way women are depicted in games, so she did a Kickstarter to see if she could raise $6,000 to fund it. And people hate that! Now, criticism is a good thing. Anyone should be able to say anything they want, including if that's critical of what someone else is saying. Threats of violence and sexual violence? Not okay. And if you know anything about this story, you know that she received more threats of that sort than I've ever seen any one person receive. But as long as we're not doing that, we can all criticise what she has to say. It's funny though, how we are all criticising her. Lots of criticism going around saying that she shouldn't be asking for money to do these videos when you can do them for free, and in fact that's what she'd been doing up until now. Well, I don't see why. I mean, people have always been paid to give their opinion in opinion pieces and on TV and in lectures. I don't see what's wrong with asking whether people are prepared to pay you for anything you can do, even if it is something you can do for free, like make a YouTube video, or draw a picture, or record a song, stack shelves, or flip burgers, or whatever your job is. You could do any of those things for free. But it's at least worth finding out if someone will pay you, isn't it? But yes, they would pay her. But way more people were prepared to pay real money just to show the thousands of angry fedoras who threatened her for speaking out that that's not okay. We know that's not okay, right? My subscribers all know that threats and threats of violence and sexual violence aren't alright. Yeah? Yeah, we're on the same page there, yeah? So as you know, she ended up with not $6, but $159,000. And that's rounding up a few hundred, but at that point, what's the difference? And she went away and started making the videos. It took her 6 months, which was longer than she initially promised, and people hate that. But given that they'd made it very clear that as soon as she ever showed her face again, her every word, intonation, and physical imperfection was going to be blown up and mocked and used as a reason to start all the threats all over again, I can see why she might have wanted to take her time to get it the way she wanted it. And what I saw when I watched the first of these videos was a calm and surprisingly non-confrontational introduction to the sort of thing she's going to want to talk about. A run-through of some of the most famous examples of games where the goal is to win or at least rescue a girl using all of your dude powers. And people hate that. Apparently it's so obvious that Peach is a disempowered trophy lady that it should under no circumstances be talked about. Even though Anita says at the beginning and end of the video that she likes or loves these games and isn't just trying to destroy them, and even though it seemed to me that she wasn't saying these games are bad or even deliberately misogynistic in most cases, but that they're still worth pointing to as well-known and even beloved results of the general cultural acceptance of the idea that girls are weak prizes, to be kidnapped, rescued, killed, lost, won, stuffed in fridges, or generally exchanged between men if you want a dramatic story to happen, still a ton of people have found it necessary to pick apart her videos looking for evidence that she isn't a real fan of these games. Because if they can prove she hasn't been mainlining Mario for 20 years like the rest of us have, then she's basically discredited, and phew, that was a close one. She was almost allowed to speak. So they've been pointing to this photo that she apparently has of her playing games. But wait, what's this? The controller in the photograph is switched off. That means she wasn't really playing. Yeah? What, should she have actually booted up a game and waited through the logos, and then waited through the load screen, and then loaded a save file, and then waited through the load screen, and then started playing, and then finally had the photo taken that was the point of all of this, and then, what, just switched it off again after that? Or should she have kept playing to make it that the photo was authentically taken during a play session, even though people were already yelling at her for not having the videos ready yet? Or is that too fake? Do we require any photograph of a person playing a game to be taken candidly when they weren't expecting it in the middle of a 3-hour gaming marathon, and then whoops, she accidentally drops the photo into a video? No, we make these videos deliberately, guys. They don't just fall out of us. I mean, you have to do some stuff fakely in order to have a decent video. I mean, look at me. I don't always... No, that's a tangent. I'll talk about that another time. So, there's been a lot of criticism of her presentational style and choice of topic. Because she's being confrontational. And that's mean. Well, I don't think she is being confrontational in that video, but if she is, she's got a reason to be, hasn't she? I don't think you have to be threatened with rape as many times as she has to be allowed to speak your mind about something that annoys you. I mean, we all think it's fine to express outrage in a confrontational way on YouTube, as long as you're talking about what George Lucas has done to Star Wars, or what Michael Bay does to Transformers and Ninja Turtles. Things that are fun to rant about, but that we know it's pretty wretched to feel strongly enough about them that you can get angry. But that's okay. Being angry about things that don't matter much is okay. And it's fine to hear rants from Jon Stewart, or Doug Walker, or The Amazing Atheist. The internet loves that, because people yelling and being angry is the internet's favourite thing. But not this. Here's someone who spotted something she doesn't like, but this one's not okay. It's totally uncool of this one to be so confrontational. And there are videos. In one particularly ugly display, I've seen a couple of videos that were nothing but character assassination, using, among other things, flaws in her university thesis, the fact that she presents her own opinions instead of other people's, the fact that she uses her YouTube channel to talk to people and hopes they'll listen, and the fact that she told the world about those threats, as opposed to, what, keeping the abuse secret or something? Really? Do we want victims to keep secrets for bullies? As evidence that she shouldn't be listened to. Well, if we're all supposed to be judged by what we wrote at school, then I hope your fanfics still hold up, because mine don't. And if we're only allowed to speak our mind if we also speak everyone else's, then we're going to be here a while. And if you're telling me in your YouTube video that it's a bad thing to try and tell things to our subscribers in our YouTube videos, then what? And if the appropriate response to a hate and intimidation campaign on a scale I've certainly never seen before is to keep your mouth shut if you know what's good for you and don't tell the teachers, then what? And this is before we even get to the critics who can't help but mention what she looks like or wears as reasons not to listen to her somehow. But if at the end of it you do find that Anita wrote a terrible thesis and does only express her own opinion, and does lecture people, and did flaunt her abuse, and isn't attractive enough for you, then phew! That was a close one! She was almost allowed to speak! Why does this bother me? Here's why it bothers me. She's just someone on YouTube who wanted to talk about something she was interested in. That's all I am, and it's all a lot of people you watch are. The only thing that's different about Anita Sarkeesian is that a load of people gave her money. I don't know why that would be a problem. People get paid for their opinions a lot, even large sums. I mean, I bet Jon Stewart's made that amount of money. In fact, I'd be shocked if he hasn't made more money, just by agreeing to appear on screen and talk about a certain topic, which is what Anita's big crime is. And the internet loves that guy, so maybe it's not the money. But I think it is, because it's all I can think of that separates her from me, or if you hate me, then whoever on here you don't hate. She didn't come in with any more power than the rest of us. She isn't saying things that nobody's ever thought of before. The only difference with her is the money. That money has driven us crazy! Apparently we can't even deal with the idea that so many people, willingly, gave her money that she didn't even ask for. And now we all, me included, have an opinion that we have to express about what she should or shouldn't be doing. If any of us met her, any of us, we'd have a suggestion that we'd like to make about how she could improve her videos, wouldn't we? And that's great, but there are suggestions and criticisms and notes of indignation that she hasn't been following them, flying around from all angles, from nice people, from nasty people, from me, from you. All of us are complaining about what she's saying, what she isn't saying, how she's saying it, how she isn't saying it, what money's going on, what it isn't going on, what she should do with it, what she should say, what she should do, who she should be. It bothers me because she's just someone with a YouTube channel who wants to talk about something. That's what we're all here for. In her case, she wants to talk about the ways in which women are disempowered within the gaming world. Doesn't it creep you out that our response as gamers, as the gaming world, has been to try and dictate the terms by which she's allowed to speak?